often overlooked by young pitchers is the relationship between a pitcher and a catcher. Now, when we're talking about this relationship, communication and trust are key. Too many times I've seen pitchers, myself included, not be able to execute throughout a game because they are lacking in these areas. Today, we are going to focus and talk about ways that we can avoid this. What's good, everybody? It's me, Perci Garner, former Major League pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians, and I want to help you become the best pitcher you can. Now, I know we used to say become a Major League pitcher, but we're going to be realistic here. So, now on this journey, we got to remember we got to crawl before we walk. And if you're liking the content, if you're learning anything, make sure you hit the thumbs up, like the video, and make sure you subscribe, because we're trying to reach the goal of 1,000 subscribers. Now, we've been getting some subscriptions lately, and I don't know if it's because of the live way we're doing things now, but I'm really enjoying it. And like I said before, it doesn't take me all day to prepare a script to make a YouTube video about pitching. So this is a lot better. I can get more content out to you guys, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Feedback down in the comments would mean a lot. But today we are talking about, I guess if you read the title, we're talking about pitcher-catcher relationship. But obviously I'm a pitcher, so we're going to talk about more of it from my point of view. So we're going to get into that. Now, I got about 3 tips, maybe some bonus ones. We'll see. And then at the end, if anyone's in here and wants to ask questions, go ahead. We got the live chat up. Just respond there, and then towards the end of the stream, once I get through my tips, we'll answer those questions if you'd like. I think next on the menu after this video, we have bullpen routines. So look for that coming next week, or maybe even this Friday. And also we have the NFT podcast coming up soon. So, all right, make sure you guys check percigarner.com. We have merch up there, and I'm going to be coming out with more baseball merch there as well. So hopefully you guys like the designs. Also, I'll take recommendations for that as well. But anyway, let's get down to business. Now, I want to start with kind of the theme of today is going to be, pitching with confidence, pitching with conviction, because I think that's the best way we can execute our pitches and be the best pitcher we can be. Now, I'm sure if you got a catcher, he wants you to do that as well. And I think once you build a certain confidence and you learn what you're good at as a pitcher, and obviously in practice is what we can learn or work on some things that we aren't so good at. But when you're in the game, it's not about a learning experience. It's about pitching and understanding how to compete against the hitter and find out what's going to get you the result that you're looking for. Now, it took me a while to learn kind of what I should be doing as a pitcher. And I know that takes a minute, and I'm not expecting a 12-year-old to know exactly what's going on. But you should know, okay, this is how I get hitters out usually, and this works for me. And I know a lot of young kids, you might have a coach who's calling your pitches, but we're going to get into some of that. So, number 1, build confidence, learn what type of pitcher you are, and, obviously you want to stick to your strengths. And my story kind of that backs that up is, for me, it took a while to understand that I had a good sinker. I was just like any other kid. I like throwing the breaking ball and all that. And I learned later that, hey, you know what? Throwing a breaking ball isn't always going to, help you out, especially at the higher levels, because they start to understand that that's what pitch you're throwing a lot, and then they start sitting on that pitch. So, because curveballs aren't impossible to hit if you know they're coming. So, I think that's one pivotal part of my career that took me a while to understand what type of pitcher I was, and I turned out to be not a high strikeout pitcher. In college I was, but once I got to the professional level, I learned that pitching to get ground balls is where my bread and butter was. And it kind of helped my arm health, because when you pitch for strikeouts, first of all, it's a kind of a bad mindset. You shouldn't really go for a strikeout unless you have 2 strikes. But I was going for strikeouts before the hitter even stepped in the box. So that's going to always raise your pitch count. and it's going to make it harder for you to go deeper into games and pitch to more hitters and help out your bullpen and help out other pitchers, so they don't have to come in the game because you're at a low pitch count and you're able to get through the game. Also, I think it's very important to understand that, you know, commanding your pitches and the pitches that you can throw for strikes and knowing when to throw those, as you know, compared to when to maybe try to get a hitter to chase, you can kind of understand that as well. If you fall into a pattern, first hitter, fastball, fastball, curveball, fastball, fastball, curveball. Then once you get 2 strikes, hitters start to realize, like, okay, this guy's throwing a curveball, you know? And maybe that's when your catcher might try to switch it up on you and say, hey, you know, we we don't fall into a pattern here. But those are some things you can look at when you're trying to understand what type of pitch you are, so then we can go through on the next 2 steps. Now, once you know what type of pitcher you are and you learn, you know, kind of what pitches that you can execute, then the next step is, you know, communicating with your catcher, whether that's before the game, whether that's, you know, during the game if you're a bullpen pitcher, or whether that's just any time throughout the day. Like when you're playing college, high school, college, and pro ball, you're around your teammates a lot more. So you can kind of game plan and tell the catcher, like, hey, this is what I do well. And that's important because then you won't be clashing in the game, because that's the worst thing when you see pitchers and catchers not on the same page in the game. I've seen it so bad in the minor leagues that the catcher was telling hitters where the pitch was going because he did not like the pitcher. Luckily, that wasn't my team, and I'm not going to say what team that was, but it was just an awkward situation that no one wants to be a part of. So communicating and keeping a good relationship with your catcher is very high on the priority list for those pitchers that know how to succeed and make it to higher levels. Now, I know there's going to be times where maybe you're intimidated by your catcher. I've had this experience. Maybe your catcher's older, or maybe he has played more baseball than you. Maybe he's had more success on the baseball field. Say you're a freshman in high school and he's a junior or senior. That's a time where it could be very, very intimidating to, you know, communicate with the catcher and get across to what your game plan is. And also, we're going to get into more about that in the next tip as well, talking about, you know, how to shake off. So, but before we get into that, I still want to talk about some things in the communication part. So, when you're trying to game plan and you're going into an outing, especially in high school and earlier on in your career, you're going to really stick to your strengths. So when you communicate that to the catcher, he understands, you know, in the timing and where you're at in counts and what pitches, or maybe the coach understands what pitches you need to be throwing. The thing that's most important, I feel, when you're pitching and you have a game plan, is to stick to that game plan. Do not deviate or just throw the plan out the door just because you give up one hit, or you didn't pitch to a batter the way you wanted to. I would say there are times to, you know, go away from your game plan if, you know, sometimes when you're pitching, you just don't have a certain pitch. Maybe your changeup is your best pitch, but you cannot throw it for a strike, and it's just not consistent. Then that's when you may need to, you know, try out a different game plan. Maybe, you know, feature your fastball more, or maybe your breaking ball, or just maybe you can pitch backwards. Maybe you start the at-bat with your changeup. If you've been throwing a lot of fastball first pitch strikes, then maybe you could say, hey, you know what, let's go with the changeup, and maybe I can get into chase. My changeup really hasn't been great, but, you know, you never know. And the changeup is a great pitch against aggressive hitters, especially if you've been throwing a lot of strikes that day. So I think that's kind of all I really want to say on the communication part. Just know that it's important no matter what level you're playing at. It's not good to go into these outings, and whether your catcher or your coach is calling the pitch, to not have a game plan and know where you're going to be. You always want to kind of be ready to throw the next pitch after you execute the pitch before it. As soon as you throw that pitch, no matter what happens, should be out of your mind, out of sight, out of mind. You're on to the next pitch. We got to have a short memory as pitchers. Because you can give up a 450-foot home run, or you can strike out a guy. Either way, you got to kind of focus on the next pitch. So now point 3 is talking about conviction and confidence, and how, in my opinion, throwing a pitch with conviction trumps every other reason to throw another pitch. Now, there are exceptions where if your coach or your catcher is pleading with you to throw this pitch, it's a good time to step off. You don't want to be thinking in your mind, man, I want to throw a fastball here, but they want me to throw a changeup or a breaking ball. You do not want to have that thought while you throw that pitch. You want to be 100% sold on the pitch you're throwing, or it's likely that you're not going to execute that pitch. I've learned this the hard way. There's been a lot of times in my career where I've thrown a pitch that I didn't want to throw. If we reminisce on my first pitch in Columbus playing AAA in the Indians organization or the Guardians organization, facing a guy, I gave up seems like an 800-foot home run just because everything that I've described. The catcher was older than me. He had big league time. I hadn't been to the big leagues yet. He obviously knows what he's doing. But there's one key factor that I hadn't mentioned. He has never seen me pitch. He has never caught me. So how in my right mind did I think he knew what was best for me to throw? So, I had been featuring a inside fastball the whole season, and that's where I've been getting my success. And he calls fastball away, and in my mind, I knew I should have been throwing fastball in, but I listened to him throw a fastball away. And it wasn't necessarily the wrong pitch, but in my mind, while I was going through my mechanics, I just wasn't completely sold on the pitch, and the hitter completely sold the pitch out of the park. So I think that's number one. Never throw a pitch that you do not want to throw. I really don't care what anyone tells you. I can't stress this enough. But like I said in the example, if there is a time where no matter what you do, no matter what you shake off, they really want you to throw that pitch, that's when you have to step off and kind of talk to yourself and talk yourself into that pitch. Because I really believe that if you throw a pitch with your heart not in it, it's, bad things are going to happen. And you don't want to, lose a game or get down in a game or, cost your team if you're not really throwing that pitch with conviction. So, my story, besides that one in Columbus, giving up 800-foot home run, there's been a time where my favorite pitch, I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter, but Pitching Ninja showed some front door two-seam sinkers from Greg Maddux, and I am obsessed with that pitch. I love it so much. The way when the lefty's in there and it looks like it's coming at him and it ends up going to the inside corner or the middle of the plate, it's just one of my favorite feelings when I pitch. And I would save that pitch. I wouldn't throw it too often. I would throw it in special situations. That way the hitters couldn't sit on it. And I watched a lot of Roy Halladay throwing that pitch. And it's an advanced pitch, and it takes some command, and you got to throw it a lot in situations to kind of grow confidence and know that pitch. But it was a 3-2 count, bases loaded, 2 outs, and I think it was like the 6th or 7th inning, and I was really trying to learn how to go deeper into games. I was in high A at the time, and I was playing against the Cubs minor league team. That's when they had Javier Baez. They had Jorge Soler down there. So there was a lot of things, a lot of talented players down there. And 3-2 count, I wanted to throw. I knew I wanted to throw that front hip, that front door two-seam. And the catcher was like, no, let's not do that. Let's go fastball away. I shook off. He went fastball away. I shook off. I stepped off because the hitter called time. And in my mind, I wasn't wavering. I said, I'm still throwing this pitch. So he called fastball away again. I said, no. He called changeup, no. Curveball, no. Literally, batter called time again. And the hitter, I stepped off. So he got back in, and he finally knew, okay, fastball in. And I was so excited to throw the pitch. I threw it, executed it beautifully, got the strikeout, got out of the inning. And to me, that was a lesson in itself. Whatever it takes, throw the pitch you need. Throw the pitch that you want to throw. Throw the pitch that you have full confidence behind that you can execute and that you know you can command, and that you know it in that time is the right pitch for you to throw. So now, if there's any people in the chat that want to, send a question, we can do that. But the stream is coming to an end. And this is kind of like the sweet spot we've been doing. And I've been trying to cut down these live streams when they go live as a video, so you don't see all this and there's no interaction. It just seems like a YouTube video. So I'll be doing that, but I want to make sure I hit everything that I want to talk about today. And that is, 1, build confidence and learn the pitches that you can command and execute. Number 2, communicate with your catcher or your pitcher or your coach, whoever's calling the pitches. Communication, game plan. And number 3, be convicted in whatever pitch you're throwing. Do not throw a pitch that you do not want to throw. Get your heart into it, get your mind into it, and be ready to throw that pitch and be ready to execute, and believe that you will. Or step off and figure out a way to communicate with your catcher or your coach and tell them you want to throw this pitch. It's important. It's important. So that's my view on the pitcher-catcher relationship. We could dive deeper. I'm trying to come up with even more video ideas. And one thing I want to stress, if any of these tips encourage you, I hope they encourage you to take your next step in your journey to become a better pitcher. Now, and if, of course, everything that I've learned in my career, I'm trying to figure out ways to get this information to you guys as free as possible. I will be doing pitching lessons. It's going to be small because I don't have much time, but I'm looking maybe 4 to 8 clients, and we'll work on that, and I'll work on ways that we can communicate and get the details taken care of. But I appreciate any feedback you guys can leave. If you want me to make a video covering something that I haven't covered yet, make sure you go to my channel and look at all my previous pitching tip videos and podcasts and all that stuff. But just let me know in the comments if there's something that I haven't covered that you would like me to cover. And just thanks for watching. And there should be some videos here that I really think you should watch. And once you check those out, make sure you subscribe, and just make sure you're sharing my content if you think it could help someone else out in the pitching community. Oh, and as well, the link to my pitching Discord will be below. We like to, talk baseball, but we talk other stuff as well. But I love Discord, and love for you to join my Discord and talk baseball and pitching. And I'll see you in the next stream. Peace.